Good afternoon. Being told that people are connected and they are just waiting for us to start. I just quickly would like to introduce myself. My name is Douai Namalambo, and I am based here in Windhoek. Currently, I'm working as a consultant for NSHF, and I'm here in my capacity to facilitate the masterclass. Now, this dialogue is very, very important to HFS because it is part and parcel of the project, which is being hosted here in Namibia, and therefore we are so excited, looking forward to the topic. And we do have an expert who is going to share with us more about what this topic is all about. I would not want to say much more on the topic because Dr. Lara will explain in terms of what the project is all about and why this topic is so key to the project. Now, the aim of the masterclass is to basically to facilitate the dialogue and to allow people from various countries to make inputs. Although we do have an expert who's going to lead the discussion by presenting to us in terms of her experience in the topic. Would really like to see various experts also participating, sharing their experience. And I think ultimately what we'd like to achieve is to really provoke and stimulate people to consider this method. I was told I'm not an agroforest, not even a scientist. I'm a social scientist, but I was told that this topic is this method is an ancient method. And I think right now it is ideal to tackle this topic because we would like to see how we here in Namibia would be able to put it on our radar, to consider it for implementation and to really appreciate the benefit which come with this topic. As you can see, I'm not even mentioning the topic because I would like the expert to mention the topic and to introduce the topic more in depth. Now, having said that, I would like to give over to Dr. Lara. She will be the person who's going to welcome us officially and basically set the scene in terms of us understanding why are we here today, all of us. Dr. Lara.
So good afternoon, everyone, and greetings from Windhoek, Namibia. I would like to welcome you to our virtual masterclass on agroforestry for sustainable development in Southern Africa and an introduction, which is an essential component of the Hans Seidel Foundation's global project for mitigation and adaptation to climate change. In short, this project is named GMAC. We are thrilled to have you join us for this insightful and crucial discussion on an innovative approach to sustainable development in one of the world's most diverse and ecologically significant regions. As I've been introduced, my name is Dr. Lara Bier and I'm leading the HSF GMAC project. That is a global initiative of the Hans Seidel Foundation funded by the German Federal Ministry for Economic Cooperation and Development. Through our Think Global Sustainability Network, GMAC aims to connect regional and global actors and partners for dialogue, knowledge sharing, and the creation of innovative solutions in response to climate change. Today's online workshop is part of a series organized by GMAC to foster dialogue and capacity building on key thematic areas of the project, including advocacy, agroforestry, biodiversity and wetlands, circular economy, environmental education, innovations, and new technology. Agroforestry is more than just a land management technique. It represents a vital strategy for enhancing food security, conserving natural resources, and promoting environmental resilience. In Southern Africa, where diverse ecosystems and communities intersect, the integration of trees and shrubs into agricultural landscapes offers promising solutions to many pressing challenges, from climate change to soil degradation. Today's masterclass will provide you with a comprehensive introduction to agroforestry practices, unwrapping how agroforestry can create environmental, economic, and social benefits, and thus contribute to sustainable development. Our expert will cover foundational concepts, explore case studies, and discuss practical applications that can support sustainable development goals in the region. I already would like to thank you for your participation and interest in this workshop. Your presence here underscores a shared commitment to sustainable development and innovation. I would like to encourage you to engage actively, ask questions, and take full advantage of this learning opportunity. Without further ado, let's dive into the world of agroforestry. Thank you so much, and let's get started.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Lara. I think now we do have a bit of a picture and understanding what the topic of today is all about. And I think without even wasting time, I would like to do two things. First of all, I want to introduce Dr. Noemi Stadler Kaulich, so that because she is our main speaker. After I've introduced her, I would like to give you a kind of a preview of how the discussion or the whole masterclass will take, just to have an overview of how we have planned to achieve what we would like to achieve today. I just wanted to move this because it's in my way. I can't see. Yeah. Okay, technology. All right. We are really blessed to have Dr. Noemi Kaulich to agree to share with us her expertise. She's currently living in Bolivia, but she's German of origin. She's an agroforestry consultant with a unique wealth of experience in the application of agroforestry methods in a wide range of climate zones. She also obtained a degree in international agricultural economics from Witzenhausen University, which is in Germany. And she also possessed a PhD in education science at the University of Education in Freiburg in Breisgau, Germany. And she's also a founder and a director of Mollesnejta. Dr. Kaulich will help me pronounce that name of that Institute of Andean Agroforestry, which is in Bolivia. Doctor, we are so honored to have you. And I'm sure you have been preparing yourself to really entice us and to give us an insight of your not only your knowledge, but of your expertise and how this method is basically worth considering, especially now when we are faced with climate change. Now, quickly, just for you to have an idea how we have put together the program. Dr. Kaulich will present her topic into two parts. And we want to do that deliberately so that we don't wait until the end to give people a chance to ask questions. So once she has presented her first part, then we will allow for a few minutes for question and answers, and then we'll give her a chance to present the second part. Once the second part is done, then we will have what we call an open discussion for a few minutes, just to accommodate new ideas or people feeling that they want to make comments or they want to make some recommendations, and we want to accommodate that. So that in itself will then lead us to the end of our discussion. And before we all go, there's a special request that we're going to share with you a link. That link is for you to evaluate how the masterclass went. And we really appreciate for you to take time. It's quite a short, very short. It won't take you long to do the evaluation. Once we've given you the link, you can do the evaluation and just send us your feedback. That will be really appreciated. After that is done, then we will then have, before the evaluation, we'll have again Dr. Lara giving us closing remarks. And after the closing remarks, we would like to have a picture. So which means that we'd like everybody who has logged on to put on their their camera so that we can take a slide shot to take a picture just for us to record what has happened today. Now, also, it is worthwhile before I give Dr. Kaulich a chance to start her presentation, just to give you some rules which we are going to apply. The first rule is all the questions will be accommodated through the chat box. So if you have a question, please write it immediately so that we can take care of those questions and we are able to communicate with Dr. Kaulich for her to answer those questions. That's the first thing. The second thing is that I would like you to also note that this meeting is being recorded. In case you don't want your face to be shown, you can just switch off your camera, and you can always come on if you want to be on camera. But we would really want to ask the people who are having strong internet connection to please keep all your cameras on so that at least we can see one another and be able to see your faces. That's really nice to see. And the last one is that although Dr. Kaulich is German speaking, she's also fluent in Spanish. So we do have some of our participants who are probably not fluent in English from the Spanish language. We would like to allow them to ask their questions also in Spanish, or their input if they would like to do so, because our presenter is able to communicate in Spanish and actually translate to the rest of us, what has been said. Now, having said that, I would like our technical people to put Dr. Kaulich's presentation and to give over to Dr. Kaulich. The chance is yours, Doctor. Take us through your presentation.
Thank you very much. And so I will start. This is the reality on the world. Almost one third of Earth's land area consists of deserts, and these are constantly growing. And as well, migration is because of the lack of firewood. But it can look like this. Agroforestry is the combination of crops and perennial vegetation and or grazing animals, and it is particularly useful on the slope. So, investigation has discovered that the Incas used already agroforestry. I am sure that all over the world, there is knowledge about locally adapted agroforestry systems. We just must rediscover and adapt it. And, well, the problems are poor soils, and we want to make them fertilizer with chemical fertilizer, and this aggravates the situation. The loss of biodiversity will lead to disease because of imbalance between pests and beneficials. The climate change brings drought and flood, and the solution can be dynamic agroforestry. It is the production, at the same time, soil fertility and the biodiversity. The accompanying trees gives biomass and is carbon sink. This will lead to humus. This will give a fertile soil and a good harvest. And now we will learn what is the difference between agroforestry and dynamic agroforestry. In this slide, you see the combination of wheat and fraxinus for timber production. By working the soil very close to the trees, they root deep down and their surface roots grow under the grain into the field. So the trees absorb the nitrogen through their roots that the grain cannot absorb. It is known that the field is usually fertilized with too much nitrogen. As a result, the trees grow better, and the groundwater, which is later used as drinking water, is less contaminated. And it is very easy to recognize that agroforestry permits three-dimensional cultivation. Here we have the combination of two species. And in the next slide, we have the combination of about 45 species. And this is named dynamic agroforestry. So, dynamic agroforestry, this is in Mollesnejta, means high diversity and high density. And the tall trees are the companion trees. The lower branches are always cut off so that they make good timber trees and do not cast too much shade. So after the basic terms have been now clarified, we can enter the topic. These are the points we will look at. Okay. So, agroforestry offers sustainable development, which considers simultaneous and equal environment, economics, and social goals. And now we have a slide, which is a tree. The trees are so important. And what are the functions of a tree? If you ask children, they will say, oh, it's producing oxygen. Yes, that's right. It's very important. But there are so much other functions of a tree. The tree is balancing climate. It's habitat for birds, which picking fruits, yes, but also are eating pest insects, especially when there are bird chicks. Latest scientific news, the tree is not only a sink of carbon, the tree always also is a sink of methane from environment. Well, and then we are coming to the big thing. I only say that my mother had to start over 3 times until drawing this picture of a tree. And it's almost acceptable, but the roots are still too little in comparison with the crown of the tree. Because the roots of a tree are the same, have the same biomass, and even more in dry regions than his crown. And the roots means biomass. The roots mean biomass into the earth, into the soil. And from this biomass is converted humus. And these roots are bumping sugars. 1/3 of the assimilation production of a day is done into the soil to feed there the discomposing and composing, nutrient composing micro and macroorganisms. So with this, the tree is building fertile soil. And his litter, the leaves which are falling down, are covering the soil and protect him from dryness, from drought, and from much sun. Well, it's one tree, but we will see how are working a lot of trees. Do you have the next slide? From the left to the right, we are seeing how it is building soil. On the left side, the right pointings are very thin. On the right side, the pointings are very thick. And this is the fertile soil. The fertile soil is done by plants. First, the pioneer plants, and then the secondary plants, and then the climax, trees. So the soils we are using today for production, for our food, had been built by trees. And we are now finishing these fertile soils all over the world. Yes, these soils are going lost, but then agroforestry can help. Agroforestry is a combination of crops and accompanying species, which permit high diversity of trees and brushes, which feed a high diversity of soil organisms. This is what means fertile soil, the high diversity of soil organisms. And the more diversity is above the soil, the more diversity is down in the soil. And this means rich in humus. And high percentage of humus means high water storage. And biodiversity, there is no need for agrochemicals because there is a balance between the pests and the beneficial insects. The biodiversity means as well safe pollination. But we have to work. Anything or nothing is gratis. We have to prune the accompanying species, and this will give mulch. Mulch is the cover, the biomass cover above the soil. And the higher the biodiversity and density in the agroforestry system is, the faster the results will be visible. Here is an example for the fertilization or the pollination. Well, and the combination of crops and accompanying species, these trees and brushes feed the soil organism. The soil is rich in humus and will give high productivity. This will mean high income. Biodiversity is saving on agrochemicals. And the high percentage of humus will lead to water storage and reduce need for irrigation and protect against drought. And only with the pruning of accompanying species, we have mulch. And we can make from this biomass chipped mealwood and biochar. We will see later what this means. This is a picture as well, a drawing from my mother, which is focusing on a hot and sunny day. But we will have look at the cycles and the red cycle in the middle of this picture, which means the cycle of nutrients. A tree can use its roots, symbiotics, to extract new nutrients from the subsoil, form its leaves from them, and when the foliage falls down, these new nutrients are added to the local nutrient cycle. So we have here a bump of nitrogen and a bump of phosphorus with the roots of the trees. The next picture, do you have the next picture which focus on a rainy day? Okay. This drawing shows a rainy day. Normally, thick drops of a tropical rain falling down, which silts up the soil surface and hits the field as a drizzle when it is passing by the branches of the trees. And the blue cycle here in this drawing is the water cycle. Deep reaching roots draw in water from the depths and distribute the moisture in their root space if the soil there is drier than the fine roots. We made this research here in Mollesnejta. This happens via the law of semi-permeability of living cells. Deep reaching roots draw in water from the depth and distribute in the root space if the soil is drier than the fine roots. Another function is the evaporation of water through the leaves, which lowers the ambient temperature and reduces heat stress in the crop. Well, here's an example of a beneficial insect, a ladybird, which eats up to 100 black aphids a day. And the next photo is from the internet. You are seeing on the left side trees and a shadow of the wind. And this shadow is because there the soil has more moisture. On the right side, there is a hedge of trees. And you see the dark soil, which is has more moisture than the other soil further on. So the height of the trees, and much more longer than the height of the trees, is keeping the cultivated area moist. So what are the social goals of agroforestry? This is as well a photo from the internet. We are in an aeroplane above Australia. On the left side, the wild brushes and forest vegetation in central Australia. In the middle, the rabbit fence. And on the right side, the wheat production with irrigation. On the right side, there is no evaporation, no rainfall. On the left, there are clouds. Rainfall will begin. So we are now with the basics of agroforestry and the function of trees. And before beginning with the implementing of a dynamic agroforest system in the subtropics, I want to know if you have any questions.
Thank you so much, Doctor. We are following so far, especially the pictures. They are so interesting. I just wish that when you have to redraw those pictures, if you put them translate them in English, they will really add a lot of value and many people will use them. But I think by just seeing at them, one can also read what the picture is trying to say. But I think for laymen, people who are not agricultural people, that could also add a lot of value, but they are so informative. Right now, I just check in our chat box. We do not have questions at this point, and I would like us just to continue then and to just encourage our participants to continue writing, even if you have a comment, comments or anything you want Doctor to come back to and to explain more so that we can give her an opportunity to tell us more. We could also go to specific slides. The slides has got numbers on your left-hand side, so you can just write the number of the slide if you need a bit of more explanation on a particular slide. I think at this point, Doctor, we will... Oh, there's one question. There's one question.
Okay.
I can also open my chat box. Let me just see. Is it from, which one is it? Fatima Hammond. Let me just say we have, okay, Fatima Hammond. She's asking, yes, I have. If we implemented the agroforestry concept in a land near to another, the old agriculture concept, can this affect the productivity of the agroforestry? Let me just repeat that question. If we have implemented, if we have implemented the agroforestry concept in a land near to another, the old agriculture concept, can this affect the productivity of the agroforestry? Is that question clear?
I think it is clear. It means perhaps it means truly that when I am nearby with my agroforestry system, without chemical insecticides and so on, if I have a neighbor which is applying insecticides, so if the insects, the pests will come to me. I am in this situation, and I can say, if your if the dynamic agroforestry system is stable and it is high, it has high diversity and high density, and I'm managing well, so the neighbors' method of production is not affecting me, because in my agroforestry system there is so high diversity that the beneficial insects are present, and I do not want to have any pests. I do have some pests, but so little number that they don't affect my production.
Okay. Fatima, I'm sure if you have a follow-up question, you are okay. Thank you. I got your comment that you are okay. Thank you so much. Doctor, there's also another comment here, which is coming from a comment from Gloria. Gloria is saying that the photos are really informative, but if they were labeled in English for more clarity, that could also help a lot. And I was just wondering whether you do have this in mind to do that in the future, or maybe when your slide is being shared, maybe people could benefit from that. And then there's another question. Yes, comment on that.
For the drawings, yes, it is possible to change. If Hans Seidel Stiftung will help me with the costs of a book, of a handbook, it's already written in German, French, and Spanish, but the traduction into English isn't done until now. So
Okay.
if Hans Seidel Stiftung wants to help me, we can speak about.
Okay, thank you so much. I'm sure Laura will probably pick it up when she's talking to us again. This John Hassan from NNF. John wanted to find out if, will you be suggesting how to introduce the approach in a social or community context?
Well, this is a big question, and the doing is, we have to look. Some people in dry regions, they have any contact with trees. They don't know about the function of trees. So I invite them to my Mollesnejta and have a look how trees and how is the plants, the accompanying plants, because people has to understand that crops and fruit trees need, in the region where the soil is very poor, needs the accompanying trees and brushes. So they can see what is the effect. And then they are interested and want to try as well. And then begins the project where I'm going to them, and we are seeing what is the possibility and how they can begin and how they can do. And then they come to Mollesnejta and will learn how to do it. And until now, here in the dry valley of Cochabamba, in the middle of Bolivia, you will see now where we are. There is a long list of interested people because the families are growing, but the land is not growing with the families. So each time the parents give the land to their children, the land will be littler for their children. And agroforestry is permitting to produce three-dimensional and to produce at the same time to ameliorate the soil. But I have to say, it is not from today until tomorrow. It needs time. Building soil is needing time. FAO says that it needs a time about 100 up to 500 years to build a really thick, fertile soil. But it is destroyed with one bad weather, with one strong rainfall in one night. It can be destroyed. So we have to work. We are destroying our soil, and now we have to rebuild it. And the rebuilding takes time. all things which are good things are needing time. This is a law of nature. And we have not to use chemical fertilizer, because chemical fertilizer is the death of the microbes in the soil. I hope that you will understand this better and better with my presentation today.
Okay, thank you so much. I just want to cover a few more questions. There are very, very few. I think I've got Elifa Dili. Please forgive me for misspelling your name. From Tanzania, Ken from Tanzania. There are two comments. He says, or she says, from the presentation of Easy Dynamic, it shows the farm with machinery. Does this mean it can be used in large commercial farming? On economical side or for large farms, does it make sense to adopt agroforestry?
Yes, it makes a lot of sense. This picture has been from France. And I had been in France this April, and I spoke to the people who made just this agroforestry system with the two crops because of wheat, and the other is stems for selling timber. So the earning of this field is doubled. The farmer told me that he's doubling. Well, the stem is not growing so fast. He has to wait 40 years to sell the stems. But wood is now so costly. So he can double his income from this one field. Agroforestry is producing three-dimensional.
Okay. Another one from her, or from him, Elifa Dili from Tanzania. In your slides, Dr. Kaulich, you mentioned the importance of more biodiversity and density, which result to more impact. Maybe in the later section, we wanted to mention what can be done to increase those two aspects and how to select what kind of biodiversity to increase.
What biodiversity is increased? Well, I am looking what are the plants, what are the spaces, locally spaces where I'm working. When I'm going, and now I had been to Peru in almost 4,000 meter high. So I'm looking which spaces are growing there and could accompany my crops. I don't want to introduce new spaces, but sometimes it's even useful to introduce new spaces. So it is very flexible, but I prefer the local spaces, to use the local spaces for diversity in the local production system of agroforestry.
Okay. Somebody from Isufu Sulemana wants to know, is dynamic agroforestry a new concept?
No, it's not a new concept. It's done by the indigenous people here in the Amazonas in Latin America. It must be done as well in Africa with the indigenous people, where people is living with nature and not taking resources from nature. They're giving back to nature and managing nature the time or the way, so it will last. The productivity will last and will not bring in problems with the generations after.
Okay. And then there is another question for Maxi Louise. She's asking, can you have this concept in a desert, meaning not a desert which has been caused by deforestation, but a natural desert like the Namib Desert? Could you apply such a concept?
Yes, you can. Well, you have to think of the situation. If you have a really desert, it will be problematic for giving the trees some water in the first 2 or 3 years. And you have to see what is growing there naturally. Yeah, I cannot take ananas to a desert. It's impossible. But I can make strong some species which are native from there. I can seed them, I can multiplicate them, and so create fertile soil time by time. It will last some years, but it is possible. We'll see now how I started and where I started, and I think you will have some idea.
Okay. Okay, Doctor, there's another question, Laurent from Wissenberg. He wants to know, how do you share your agroforestry knowledge with small-scale farmers? Do you apply mobile education methodology or on-site or regional agroforestry academies?
I invite the small farmers to come and see. And they are coming from all over Bolivia, from Latin America, even from Africa, and even from Europe.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Patrick Helga is asking, what will be the difference with synthrophic agroforestry? Are you aware with that terminology? Synthrophic agroforestry.
Yeah, synthropic agroforestry is the name from Ernst Götz, and it means the same like dynamic agroforestry.
Okay. And how to encounter arguments about the limits of farm machineries? Farmers say they can't till or reap the soil because of the roots. Then they prefer to cut the trees whenever they use a tractor at the start to weed.
Yeah, we saw the picture of the combination of timber trees and wheat. And I have to focus on that the timber trees are accustomed to the management of the soil from the first year. So the roots are going deeper, and then in the depth, they are going on bite side on the under the wheat. The trees have to be accustomed, get used to that the crops is, or that the field is worked by machinery.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Gloria also make a comment here. I'm not sure whether, Gloria, you meant it as a question, but let me just read it. Maybe Dr. Kaulich will understand what you're trying to put forward. Give a deeper sense of what agroforestry means in micro-scale practical sense. Is that a comment or is it a question? Do you want to say anything about this? She's just saying gives a deeper sense of what agroforestry means in micro-scale practical sense. Doctor?
Yeah, I'm hearing it, but I don't understand so much. And
okay.
I have a student here who wants to try, she's trying to explain me the question, but I don't know if we have to lose so much time because
it's okay. We're going to continue now. I'm looking at the time, Doctor. Don't worry. I'm aware of the time. Gloria, please, can you repose your question so that Doctor can deal with it in the next round, just to get clarity. I'm aware of another Joab. I will pose your question once Doctor has finished. We will make sure that your question will be asked. I'm aware of your question. Doctor, could you please proceed with your second part of your presentation, and then we will then take care of the rest of the questions.
Okay, so I will guide you to Bolivia. We are in the center of Bolivia, in the heart of Bolivia, and this green spot is Mollesnejta. I am just with the mouse going roundabout. We are between 2,750 and 2,850 meters above sea level. Our average annual temperature is 18 degrees, and the average annual rainfall is 500 millimeters, which means 500 liters for a square meter. But it is falling from December to March. So the rest of the years is dry season. And when we began in 1998, it looked like this. So our soil is very stony, about 80% of stones and some, some dirt in between. And we planted high diversity and high density and some other fruit trees. And there are accompanying trees and bushes in rows. In rows because it's easier to give water. We have to water in the first 2 or 3 years. And you see that all the grass is cut and laying as layer, it's mulch on the soil. As well here, the grass is cut and is a layer on the soil. And this picture is made 8 years after implementation. And in this you have the picture before and after. There are so much possibilities to combine the productive, in this case, trees, because we don't have so much soil for crops. Here it is a little apple in between Chalmocystis, Coriferus palmensis, and native rushes behind. This little apple tree is from the seed, and I have to graft it. When I had made a graft, I let grow all the accompanying trees and brushes around. And when the grafting is successful, so I cut them down and I'm feeding the soil. And so in the next years, this little apple can bring me fruit. Mollesnejta, you already asked for this. We are spreading our findings to interested farmers. And this is a dynamic agroforestry plot in the valley of Cochabamba in the other direction. And here we see a proud small farmer stands in the middle of her agroforestry system. And she has still a lot of harvest, including firewood. And the ground is covered, while in the background, the harvest has already been completed and the fields are laying naked under the sun until the next rainy season. It means 4 or 5 months of naked fields. And this is horrible for all the microbes in the soil. This picture is Dong Benjamin with 1/3 of a hectare. He has 400 apple trees and a lot of accompanying species. And each apple tree is giving a harvest of $21 a year. And so, yeah, multiplied for 400, he has an income of $8,400 a year in Bolivia, which is here a teacher's monthly income. And his wife has still, in addition, flowers and vegetables and strawberries under these trees. So you are aware of the possibilities. But I have to say that here, Dong Benjamin, he has a lot of water, of irrigation water disponible. So we are going back to Mollesnejta. This had been an onion trial. And one of the results we had is that a thin layer of mulch from the grass, Melis repens, they say to me, the native to Africa probably came to South America with the slaves. This thin mulch layer has the effect of 80 kilograms of nitrogen fertilizer on 1 hectare. This is a master student thesis. And so it must be right. Then in Mollesnejta, we have as well a cancer experiment. The colonization of the roots of this perennial weed with the mycorrhiza of Douai viscosa, which is a brush native to a lot of countries. So this mycorrhiza is colonizing the cancer roots and help the cancer to have nitrogen and phosphorus. But as soon as artificial fertilizer is used, this mycorrhiza dies. And this slide from Julia Neumann, as well, a master thesis, is showing the result of the CO2 sink in dynamic agroforestry. On 1 hectare, we have more or less 4,000 perennial trees and brushes, accompanying trees and fruit trees and other crops. And this means 10,000, a sink of 10,000 tons from CO2 a year. Well, now I'm coming to examples of dynamic agroforestry systems in the humid tropics. We are here in the cacao plantation in the northeast of Bolivia, and you are seeing the mix of species, productive species, and the layer on the soil. All the pruning material is on the soil and gives new soil, is fertilizing the soil. Here we are in Colombia, and in between the cattle grazing areas, there are agroforestry, dynamic agroforestry hedges. Cattle can tolerate up to 30% of leaf fodder and appreciate the tannins in this because these are effective against endoparasites. This picture is from Madagascar. The pruning of the accompanying trees is very, very important work. So the arable crops and the fruit trees are receiving sufficient light. And this picture shows the harvest, the diversity of harvest of a dynamic agroforestry plot. Now I have this picture and another slides from Namibia in the north. I don't have any more information about this, but you are doing already agroforestry. So you have the examples where you are living, and it's easy to go there and to ask the farmer how he's doing and what are the results of his doing. But I am sure that he would not do if it would not be very successful. This is as well from the north of Namibia. Well, what is meaning agroforestry or dynamic agroforestry with high diversity and high density? It's a synergy between the plants and on the root level. Yeah, synergy. They are working together. This means balance between pests and beneficial organisms. This quickly creates a large amount of above and below ground biomass. And via the roots and via the pruning of the accompanying species, it's building up high humus content in the soil. Because all plants are releasing sugars. This is production of the photosynthesis. And they are sending it into the soil to feed the microorganism there. And this will give humus formation. And humus storages nutrients and water. And humus is the habitat for numerous soil organisms and the long-term soil fertility. So pruning is very, very important. And When you are pruning, you have to leave some branches on the top, so the fluid of the water in the tree is done. And we will now see the beneficial of the chipped ramiel wood. Chipped ramiel wood is chipped with a machine, but you can do it, can chop it as well with machete. There is a difference between chipped ramiel wood and the chipped wood of a stem. The chipped ramiel wood is not thicker than 7 centimeters in diameter and has a favorable nitrogen carbon ratio. This the chipped ramiel wood has a storage of substances under the branch, and these substances are needed for bud formation in the next spring. And these substances are nourishing the soil bacteria and the soil fungi and promote the growth of the construction or the building of nutrients in the soil. We had an interesting experience, and these are the results, and I leave you to read yourself. So we continue now with the bonus factor of agroforestry, which is the biochar, and leads to terra preta. Terra preta are the dark soils which had been found in the Amazonas region some 25 years before. But they are not only existing in Amazonas, they are as well existing in China, and there must be existing in Africa as well. The soil is black because of the carbon. And the history building of this black soils is that there has been in Amazonas big cities which made of wood, so they exist anymore. And the people took out on the field all the things, all the waste, including that from their toilets in large clay pots. And today, 500 and more years later, these soils still are fertile. And you all know like biochar looks like, but perhaps you don't know how it looks like under electron microscope. Biochar itself, it's not a fertilizer, but behaves like a sponge with its pores. It harbors nutrients and water and offers soil organisms a well-temperated habitat. So how do you get biochar? This is our kiln, our soil kiln. And you start giving the wood one together to the other, so there's not so much oxygen between, and you start the fire from above. And then here you see the stopping of the pyrolysis. Yeah? The making of biochar is named pyrolysis. And well, we are here in a region where water is shortage. There is no water available in dry season, or only for the animals and the people. So it is very difficult to extinguish the pyrolysis with water. And we had the idea to do it with urine from human or our animals. And we saw that at the same time, it had been enriching the biochar. This is an investigation thesis. And when the biochar is integrated with human urine, it means that there is 0.41% of nitrogen. And when I have the cold biochar mixed with urine, it's only 0.18. And when I have pure biochar, I have only 0.02% of nitrogen in between. Yeah. Biochar pure is not a fertilizer. It's only hosting the fertilizer and the water. We only made the investigation about nitrogen, but I think with phosphorus and other nourishing elements for plants, it will be the same. All the nourishing effects of urine from human or from our animals. So for me, it had been always very hard to see so much heat is wasted. And I developed this cooker, which is in our kitchen. And it's going very good. And how do we applying the biochar? Well, here is the pruning, then making the pyrolysis and getting biochar, and then in fruit trees which are already giving fruit, we are applying in a sink around the tree. This violin diagram shows the effect of biochar in different percentage in the soil of planting walls for fruit trees. Is as well a thesis. Even a thesis who gained a plus in the university. And we are seeing that the more biochar, the longer the water storage capacity. From the left, group 0, no biochar, and to the right, 50 kilogram of biochar per cubic meter. It means that we have to give water every week or only once a month. So I want to say that 50 kilogram of biochar in 1 cubic meter of a whole of a fruit tree is too much, because to get biochar is really hard work. But it helps to get longer the moisture in the soil. And I would see that 10 to 15 kilogram of biochar for cubic meter will be enough to have a good result. Okay, I leave you to read the bonus factors of biochar. I want to focus on protection of climate. The carbon sink. Yeah, the carbon sink is the latest results are showing it for 7,000 years when you are making biochar. Okay, so this is a summary of the impacts of agroforestry. If you want, we can going through all this of this summary, all the points of this summary, but I don't know if the time is good, still enough. So you are
Doctor,
yeah?
This slide is number 65. And I'm sure the participants, if they want you to come back, please let us in the chat box to come back to slide 65. If you have any of these benefits which are cycled here, you want her to explain how that is taking place, or anything you want to get. So I will prefer you to just finish your presentation. You can, yeah, and then we can just come back to the slide if there's more time.
Yeah. So this is my definition of dynamic agroforestry. And you see already that the water storage capacity is very important for our region and for much regions on the world. The next slide is giving you the bibliography of the thesis I showed you, which took place in Mollesnejta. And I want to point out that we are doing, or we are having the worldwide first BEF-AF project here in our Mollesnejta field. With the thesis is a conceptual framework and experiment designed for analyzing the relationship between biodiversity and ecosystem functions in agroforestry system with the University of Freiburg in Germany, ETH in Zurich, Switzerland, and Havel as well in Switzerland. And the preliminary results of the first 3 years is the survival rate of the young trees is higher in the mixed trial plots than in the mono trial plots. And I think this is just the last sense that I want to give you in my presentation, and I thank you very much for your interest.
Thank you so much, Dr. Kaulich. It has been really informative. We have a couple of questions and comments already made on the box, and we would just like to cover those before we probably just extend with few minutes again into an open discussion session so that we can allow our participants to talk to us. During the open discussion, whereby you not necessarily have a question, but you just have a contribution to make or an input, would allow you to unmute yourself so that we can hear your voice and share your input. Let me just quickly go to the questions which has been posed. Before I go to those questions, I just want to make a comment here, which came from Patrick Helga. Patrick Helga, doctor, is saying on that slide number 65, one of the positive attributes to agroforestry is microclimate impacts. So that probably needs to be added to your circles. That's the one thing which I wanted to comment quickly before we go to the question.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I will introduce it to this slide.
Okay, good. I want to quickly go to Joab Konyi. This is somebody coming from Fair Climate Network in Kenya. He wanted to find out what considerations should a farmer make when choosing agroforestry trees?
The question is about accompanying trees on brushes. So as I said before, I would choose the trees which are native to this region, which I know that they can stand the drought and the moisture in the rainy season and the heat and the cold if there is it's climate. It's the best is to utilize the native vegetation. But sometimes the climate change is giving the opportunity to try some other species. I tried here some species from humid tropics. And people said to me, Noemi, you are crazy. Well, with dynamic agroforestry, perhaps you have to be a little bit crazy. But I have here some trees and bushes which are from tropical climate and they are doing well. So never say no to one species which attract your interest.
Hey, yes. Explore and see what works and what doesn't work. Thank you so much for that. I just want to make a comment. I am aware of so many other experts who have joined us as guests on this masterclass dialogue, and I would like you also to please take the opportunity to probably build on some of those questions or to build in some of the information which has been given to Dr. Kaulich based on your experience or your knowledge. There's another question from Pate Moshela. This person is from Namibia. He wants to know, how do I incorporate agroforestry in subsistence farming, where our farm are 99% cleared with only few trees left? And will it be feasible when we depend on rainfall?
What had been the first question?
The first part is incorporating agroforestry in subsistence farming, where you basically don't have trees, a lot of trees. It's almost like a clear land.
Clear land. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you saw that I also began in a clear land because of the animals of the neighbors. Before I could get this land, they ate all, even the Doranea viscosa, which is not so much eatable for animals. So you have to show around to look around what of the vegetation is left, or you as well can give some 10 square meters to nature, see what there is going from itself, what seeds left the birds, what seeds throw the ants, and so on. You have to experiment. And experimenting, you are learning. And when you are learning, you can every day be better than the day before. Yes, it is. It means work. Yes, it means perhaps a little bit, a lot less of income, a little bit less of productivity, because I have to restore nature, which had been destroyed before. This is the meaning of what I want to explain you. We cannot say, oh, by dynamic agroforestry and tomorrow I will have a lot of productivity. No, it's not so. We have to rebuild soil. The soil is our productivity, and soil is our in Bolivia we say Mother Earth, Pachamama. Without this mother we cannot live, because there is any food and there is any water.
Okay, and what about whether or not agroforestry is feasible when that area depends on rainwater?
Well, we have a lot of possibility to get rainwater for our dry season. Here, all buildings in Mollesnejta have their reservoir for water, for raining water from the roofs. I can utilize the gray water, means from washing hands and washing dishes and shower. So there is a lot of possibility. And to cover soil, only to cover soil with a little mulch layer is already earning or recording water, remaining humidity in the soil. Hello?
Thank you, Doctor. Yes, I'm here. Emily wants to know, how does one balance the positive effects of the trees and the competition between them and crops?
I will say that there is any competition. The word competition, nature is not in competition. Perhaps there may be some competition for light. And because of this competition of light, I have to prune the trees. But the pruning of the trees is also made by animals. And when animals are eating biomass, well, they are leaving something behind. So this is nature. When I'm pruning, I'm accelerating natural processes. And all this biomass is for the soil. And I can use it like biomass I just pruned when it is thin and only leaves, or then I can make chopped ramel wood, chipped ramel wood, and when it's thicker, I transform it to biochar. It's for that I showed you all the possibility what you can do with the biomass. Hello?
Sorry, I've been talking and I was muted. I just wanted to say that, Runyararo, you have been raising your hand. We are aware of your hand. We will get back to you. Dr. Kaulich, before we close off your presentation, I just want you to be aware of some of the comments which came in. First of all, the first thing which I wanted to find out, the case study you took from Namibia, were they from Zambezi region?
Oh, I don't know. Please ask Dr. Beer. Dr. Lara Beer.
Okay, Laura, can you please?
If I'm correct, the case study is from Kavango region, but maybe Hanyo can unmute himself because he took the pictures. He's the agroforester. Hanyo? Hanyo, are you there? Or maybe we can come back to that later.
Okay, we'll come back just to confirm, because there are some people who are very interested to know where the samples were taken of the case study which has been just shared. Benjamin says, turning a dry land into a forest. It's a great lesson for us in Kenya. So this is really interesting for some of the participants who have who are participating in our debate right now. And then we have Selma Nash saying, the case study, Dr. Kaulich, which we have used, they are very, very interesting. And we're hoping that more of this case study could be shared with the team. I think those are the only ones. There's two more questions, which we just got from Tine. Could you elaborate more on how trees act as a sink for methane, and perhaps how agroforestry accounts for an increase in the absorption of methane by trees?
Okay, this of the methane, I think is just a new recognizing about trees. And they explain it with microbes which are in the bark, and it's just a finding I heard about 3 days before.
Okay. Okay, thank you. One more question from Pakamani Sitole. Do the benefits of biochar outweigh the negative effect which may arise from pyrolysis, for example, fertilized soil versus emissions generated during pyrolysis?
Could you please repeat this question? I didn't understand very well.
All right. Do the benefits of biochar outweigh the negative effects which may arise from pyrolysis? And then he gave an example, fertilized soil versus emissions generated during pyrolysis?
One moment, I'm just my traducing.
Okay, no problem.
Yes, it is. I would not do biochar if there would not be more effectiveness or more positive effectiveness of the biochar. The biochar is acting in the soil like a sponge. And this is very important for clayey soils, which have almost no respiration. The microbes on the upper soil have to respirate, they are aerob. So clayey soils and compacted soils are not in, has no respiration, cannot have respiration. And so the working or the doing of the microbes is not given. So biochar can help, can be very useful. As well, when I am growing vegetables. So I am nourishing the vegetables with the compost. But the nutrients of the compost are washed out in deeper regions of the field than my vegetables has his roots. So with the carbon, with the biochar in the mix up from the compost, I can be sure that the nutrients will be on the root level and giving habitat to the microbes in the compost. In the biochar, there is the habitat for the microbes of the compost. They are in the possibility to renew all the nutrients. Yeah, they will decompose and compose nutrients, and they have a rich habitat to do this, which is with moisture and which has a lot of biomass. If I'm feeding this field, this vegetable field with the biomass, I am pruning from the accompanying trees and brushes.
Okay. Doctor, could you please go one slide back after your bibliography? Where you just go one slide. Yeah, go up. That's your last one. Go back, last one.
Okay.
One slide. Yeah, okay. I think, Helga, you want to have a look at that. While you are having a look at that, I also want to take note of Prince Batamuzi. He also gave us his input in the chat box for you guys to have a look at it. I would like to go on with some few questions. In the meantime, I would also want to quickly for us to go to an open discussion if there are some more comments. Some of the comments are already on the chat box. We're just going to read them so that everybody can know. Okay, there's Tine Aganero. Could you elaborate more on how trees act as no, I did this one already. Oh, these ones are done. Is there any more else? Okay, this one. Sorry. How can we manage agroforestry trees? How can we manage agroforestry trees, Doctor?
Oh, it depends on what I want from these trees. If I want fruit, I have to prune them. And I have to prune them when they are young, to educate them, the educating pruning. Then I have to do the productivity pruning. And when I get older, I have to do the pruning. So they are maintaining youth and productivity. When this is timber, when these are timber trees, so I will cut the branches from the down, and I only leave the upper branches. So I have good structure from a stem. And I can sell once for building houses or whatever. It depends on what I want to do with this vegetable or with this plant. But surely a tree which is more or less a brush is not so likely to give a good stem. I have to see what is the characteristic of the tree and what it is possible for me to produce from this tree. It depends of the species.
Okay. Hajo, he would like to know the information on irrigation system usable in agroforestry.
Yeah. We are here in a region with 3, maximum 4 months of raining season. And there is sometimes up to 5-6 weeks between one rainfall to another rainfall. So in our region, without still so little humus in the soil, we have to irrigate the young trees because there is any fertile soil left. I have to begin to build soil from the beginning, like nature from the beginning. But the irrigation is very important to do with observation, not only to irrigate, because, well, okay, I think the plant needs. We are irrigating the way that the plants are already in the danger of to die because lack of water. Why we do so? Because plants who already suffered a drought are more resistant against drought than a plant who didn't suffer. The plant who is suffering drought or little drought is going down with the roots and not waiting with the roots above on the soil. Give me some water, give me some water. No, they are actively going down with the roots. So this is as well the reason why I have my own nursery, because normally you are buying plants and they are so watered every day that they are spoiled. Spoiled. Yes.
So, Doctor, it means that even low-income earners, farmers, will be able to adopt and implement agroforestry.
Yes, I'm sure. We are doing here agroforestry systems with little farmers who has any income, who want to migrate to the city because there is any more future for them, and they are beginning with agroforestry. Surely there's a little projects, but with about I think plus low cost reservoir of water, 5,000 euros or $5,000, I can already help a family to see a future in their region with a little field from 300 square meters, where the woman can find all time around something for the pot.
Okay, I think Grant Tialo
and I have to mention, this 5,000 euros, the big part is not for the plant, it's not for the water, it's for the plant. Because otherwise, the animals will be there. The animals from the neighbor or the wild animals, like the rabbits. The fence is the most important thing for 300, for a little dynamic agroforestry system.
Okay. I wanted to talk about Grant, also asking a question on forestry improve soil fertility. What tree species can be integrated? I think this question was asked before to increase soil fertility. Doctor, do you want to just comment on that one quickly? Grant wants to know the agroforestry improves soil fertility. What tree species can be integrated? Meaning, what type of trees can be integrated to increase soil fertility?
all native trees and even exotic trees if they can adapt for this region. Because when there are with the native trees, they're like me. I am German in Bolivia. If I wouldn't have Bolivian friends, I could not live here, and Bolivian family as well. So the trees also has to have friends, and they are building symbiotics. They are helping together. Nature is very wise in helping plants together, so they can live. They make a living biodiversity ecoregion.
Okay. All right. I think we want to just slide over to an open discussion quickly. I'm aware of the time. I'm hoping that we will be done by 4 o'clock. I think before I make provision for hands and to give people a chance who are putting up their hands, I really want to do justice to what Prince has shared in the chat box. He is saying agroforestry has components which can be combined together to make agroforestry systems. The components include wood, perennials, trees, crops like maize or beans, animals, for example, cattle or poultry, insects, for example, bees, and aquatic organisms, for example, fish. These components can be combined together to make more than 15 agroforestry systems. Maybe Doctor can give more insights on how these components can be combined to make the agroforestry systems.
I think this is really right. Or the combination of all what you have the possibility and you think that you could be producing in your field or in your on your land. There is, for me, there is any fence or any barrier to have ideas and to be creative. Looking only for nature, looking what is around, what is still wild plants around. Wild plants are so used to the temperature, and they can be useful by changement of the climate. And don't forget, all plants, even the plants we don't want on our field, are giving assimilated sugars into the soil to feed the microbes. So this is building the fertile soil. And this is because we are not taking out with the roots the weed, we are only cutting it, yeah. Only in young trees, in young fruit trees, we are getting out the weed with the roots because they can disturb the young roots. But otherwise, it's only to cut. The weed is only to cut, and the cutted part is given to the given to the soil. Beg your pardon. Yes. I hope you understood.
Yeah, I mean, I think we'll ask the writer to Prince to come back if you need to probably add or just give a confirmation that you are satisfied with what Doctor has shared with regard to your question. We are now accommodating an open discussion by a show of hands to allow you to make an audible input or comment, whatever you prefer. And that's why the chat is open. There was a hand from... Okay, yes, Runyararo raise his hand. Yes, your hand is up. I can't see your hand on my computer, but please go ahead, sir.
It's Miss.
Oh, it's
Thank you.
not the names. I'm so sorry about that. Please go ahead.
No problem at all.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. For me, maybe it's just a question and a comment. The first one is to do with the definition given for dynamic agroforestry. For me, I struggled a bit to then see the difference with what I originally knew as agroforestry and the dynamic bit. I struggled to see a difference. Maybe more light could be shed on that. And then the other one is to do with there's a comment that Noemi emphasized that we need to when choosing agroforestry species, we need to consider mostly the indigenous species, but we can bring in the exotics and add maybe whatever feels okay to us. But I'm thinking maybe we that part got me worried a bit, because I'm wondering, are you also not maybe worried about potentially introducing invasive species that way? Over to you.
Okay. Firstly, what is the difference between agroforestry and dynamic agroforestry? Well, the combination, agroforestry is the combination of trees and crops and or animals, yes. But with dynamic agroforestry, I have high diversity and high density in my field, in my plot. And this means that I have high diversity of soil organisms, because all plants have their symbiotics on his roots. And with more diversity in the plot, above and underneath the soil, I have a balance between pests and between good insects, and I have a balance between pests in the soil and microbes which are producing naturally penicillins, which are against some illness which is in the soil for my plants. More diversity is more strong or stronger, and is giving more productivity, and is giving for me as well more diversity in products. I'm seeing the problem. How can I sell, if I want to sell so much diversity of products? This is a large question, and I always say, well, you have to get together with your neighbors and form a cooperative, so you can sell a bigger amount of one of your fruits or productive vegetables, or what you are producing. Okay, next is the question. It's okay with my answer? Did you understand the reason for dynamic agroforestry? Okay, I think yes. So invasive species. Yes, maybe there are invasive species, but with me, under the situation, under the conditions I have here, with so large dry season and so much water in the rainy season at once, perhaps, not perhaps, I am very grateful for all what is a little invasive, because invasivity means that the trees or the plant is reproducing itself with seeds or for his roots. And I have biomass to harvest. And harvesting biomass, I will give it to the soil as so like I just pruned it, or as chipped wood, or as biochar. But it is biomass for the soil. So I'm harvesting with this invasive plants biomass. Yes, I am already in the situation that my soil is a little bit better, and some species, for example, Tecoma stans, you know it also in Africa, in some regions of Africa. Tecoma stans is beginning to be invasive here in Mollesnejta. And I am now in the situation to have to control this plant, this species. But I am still grateful for the biomass it is giving me. Hello?
Runyararo, are you satisfied with the attempt of the questions, answers which have been given? Are you okay so far? I'm not hearing from Runyararo, but anyway, we'll move forward. Just quickly before I take the next hand from Gloria, I just wanted to make a comment here. Tine, you wanted to know more about the zinc for methane, and I think Dr. Kaulich gave an answer, but I think Lawrence is actually wanting to say that regarding the question on methane absorbing by tree bark, there is an article in the latest magazine which is called Nature, discussing a brand new study of the University of Birmingham that bark is absorbing also methane and not only CO2.
Okay.
Yeah, just for your information. Okay, there's a hand from
Thank
Gloria.
you.
Let us give Gloria a chance. Gloria, you are on.
Yes, hello. Thank you for accepting my hand. I would like to just seek clarity related to the previous question about the difference between agroforestry and dynamic agroforestry. Would I be very right to consider that with dynamic agroforestry, there's a deliberate attempt to work on the soil fertility, the soil nutrient levels, and the soil absorption capacity in terms of working towards integrating vegetation cover to have a dense kind of diversity, a high level of diversity, so that you have enough litter to accumulate the microbes, which will be a reason for you to, for instance, thicken the living, the soil biological component, the biophysical component of the soil. Would I be right to think that way, that that will be an easier way for me to explain it? In any case, I have to. Vis-a-vis agroforestry, which basically could mean, for instance, anyone taking any kind of design of having a combination of trees and livestock and crops. Because this takes me to my next point, that I do agree that, yeah, we should promote indigenous species, and I'm an ardent promoter of the thriving of indigenous species, because they are better adapted to local conditions. But also, I wanted to also allay the fear that you can introduce exotic species, but I would imagine that selectively minimizing on the negative effects of certain species becoming invasive. For instance, when you are introducing selective species, you look at the relationship they would have, the symbiotic relationship, which would be mutual on either side, so that there is a win-win situation. And that takes me to now my other question, that there are species of trees that are known to be having allelopathy effect, like eucalyptus is a typical example. And what will be the situation like in communities where this is very highly desired? How would you introduce that in a system of dynamic agroforestry?
Yes, I want to give an explanation. I have here the chat from Patrick Hilger. Maybe exotic other trees are problem like eucalyptus are not so good for us to make the soil because they make the soil unfertile. I will point out that Ernst Götz, which is working around the world with syntropic agroforestry, which is the same like dynamic agroforestry. Because we, like pioneers, are in the right to give the names for these techniques. He is working with Eucalyptus globulus all over the world because this eucalyptus is growing very fast and is giving biomass very rapidly and is having deep roots which are looking for themselves for water. So what he's doing is leaving to grow up, and when the tree has from 5 or 6 meters high, then he is cut it, and the tree is cut it, and the biomass is chopped, and it's given to the soil, and the eucalyptus tree will grow another time, and when he is big enough, he will be cut, and so on. So what he's doing is giving eucalyptus leaves and eucalyptus biomass on the soil, and there is no allelopathy. They are growing in Brazil, they are growing vegetables with this soil, and the vegetables has no taste of eucalyptus. So the big thing is to give to the soil biomass, firstly. Then the microbes in the soil will decompose all the biomass and build with this the nutrient for the vegetable in this case, or for the crops, or for the fruit trees, what I'm producing. This is nature. What do I say? The growing up and dying, if you want, because I'm pruning, I'm chopping, I'm giving to the soil the material, the biomass, and from this is rebuild new nutrients for my producing plants. And he's doing this with Eucalyptus globulus.
Okay. Our time is up. I just want to acknowledge, Patrick, your input, which is on the chat box. Just say most trees are not indigenous, so it's normal to add exotic trees for income and food, as long as they are pruned and adapt to your climate. I think Runyaro also make a comment before she left, because she did indicating that she's checking out. She says the point wasn't emphasizing the outright exclusion of exotic trees, but rather the need to consider invasive tendencies as you choose what trees to include in the agroforestry system. So there has been a lot of comments. If you look at the chat box, we are coming to the end of the open discussion. I just want to take this opportunity to thank you. But before you all leave, please hold on, hang on in there with us. I would like to ask Dr. Clara, to formally close the discussion. Over to Dr. Clara.
Thank you so much, Dofi. And I would like to start by thanking you all, Dr. Stadler Kaulich, for her thought-provoking expert talk, our moderator, Douai Namalambo, for keeping things both under control and reasonably on time, our intern, Anna von Oppen, for giving a helping hand with the Q&A, and my colleague, Bruce Lisvani, for animating the session. However, most importantly, I would like to thank you all, the participants who turned in from all over the world. I've seen familiar faces / names from Latin America, the MENA region, Africa, and the Regional Sustainability Network in particular, and I've even seen a familiar face from Germany. Without your input, ideas, and discussion, this masterclass would not have been the success it has. I feel, along with many others, as I'm pretty sure, that this virtual masterclass is very useful and should continue. Like I already mentioned in the introduction, today's event was only one of many to come. Our series of virtual masterclasses will continue to look into different key topics of the GMAC project and its Think Global Sustainability Network. I'm happy to announce that this year we'll see another 3 online workshops. The topics will be advocacy, wetlands, and circular economy. Furthermore, I would like to draw your attention to our upcoming conference on agroforestry. HSF Namibia, in collaboration with the Namibia Nature Foundation, is hosting a conference on the subject of transformation of food systems, agroforestry as climate resilient practice, on 2nd of October here in Windhoek. For those who cannot be in Windhoek on the 2nd of October, I'm happy to announce that the conference will be live streamed on our Facebook page. Furthermore, I would like to invite you all to follow our project activities via the website of our Think Global Sustainability Network. Its address is www.thinkglobalnetwork.com, or to follow us on our social media channels and to be part of our next activities as well. By saying this, I would like to conclude by wishing you all a successful day, a good afternoon, and a lovely evening from wherever you turned in on the world. Thank you very much for participating.